Thank you for tuning in for the fourth installment in my Chords in Open D mini-series. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes, you can of course find them on my channel, and thank you again for considering subscribing. In this video we'll talk about swing chords, or otherwise known as Freddie Green chord voicings, because as far as I know he was the one who pioneered this style of rhythm playing. If you're not entirely sure what I'm talking about, check this out. This little jump blues intro showcased the most common types of chords and shapes you will have to know in order to be able to play swing. But knowing the chord is just one thing, knowing how to play the chords is another thing that's very important. So let's just spend a minute on the rhythm and how to play these chords. So as you've seen, these chords are just 3-note chords. You play them either on the 6th, the 4th and the 3rd strings, or the 5th, the 4th and the 3rd strings. You can of course play all 3 strings in the same time on the downbeats like this. And it's a nice chunky rhythm, works in a couple of songs, but generally this is not how these chords are played. It is way more swingy if you do it like this. So you're breaking up this chord shape. Basically you're just playing the bass note on the downbeats, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And the upbeats 1 and 2 and, so the ends are the upbeats. You play the other 2 strings down in the middle. So that's sort of how you start getting into the Western swing or swing groove. Very important to mute every other string, so the strings you're not playing. And I guess majority of the muting you will do with your fretting hand. In this case that is my left hand. Also try to be precise with your pick and just aim at the strings you wanna play. If you have some sort of chug in there or an atonal string noise, that is something you can use to your advantage. It can be part of the beat, so that's not a problem. The problem would be if something as another tone that's not in the chord would ring, so try to avoid that. So now you know how to play these chords. Let's go back and break down those chord shapes you've seen in the intro. Starting with the E shape, and we are in the key of A in open D tuning, so our E shape, A major chord, will be the 7th fret barred across all 6 strings. To just take a swingy bite of it or chunk of it, we'll use the 6th, 4th and the 3rd strings. If you just pick it all the way down across the strings, you will have to mute your A string, the 5th string, and of course you might need to mute the 1st and the 2nd string as well. I hope you can hear that I'm muting them. So this is your basic A major chord if you're playing swing. Now if we look at the notes, this is A, a root note, this is another A, just an octave higher, and this is C sharp, which is the major 3rd. So if we lower the major 3rd to a C by 1 semitone, we'll get the A minor chord. As long as we have 2 roots, why don't we make a 7 by lowering one of the root notes? And I propose that we do it with the D string, because I would like to keep my lower string, my root note, as the bass note, to give a solid foundation of A in any of the chord versions I'm playing over A. So I keep my bass as the root note, and then my octave root note is the one that I will modify, and I will actually lower it by 2 semitones or 2 frets to have a minor 7 on the D string, and that way I have the, well, minor 7 chord, A minor 7. If I were to put my pinky back on the major third, I would get the dominant 7, which is just shortly called A7. And if I raise my minor 7 by 1 semitone, I will get my major 7, A major 7. But of course I can modify my my minor 7 to the other way, so I can lower it by a semitone, 1 fret, and that way I get an E6. That was my main chord that I played on the A chords in the intro jump blues. The 6 chords are great substitutions for the regular plain old major chords. So most of the times when you see like just a major chord, A major, in the tab, most of the times you can use A6 instead and be more swingy or jazzy already. So these were the A chord permutations I wanted to show in this shape, but there's actually another chord, A sharp diminished, that I played in the intro as a bridge between the first and the fourth chord, so between A6 and D7, which we'll look at in a minute. So back to the A sharp diminished. That's this chord. You can hear it's kind of an escalating sound bridging between the 2 chords. Now, in jazz music, Western swing music, it's very common to use a diminished chord to bridge between 2 chords. In this case, we're using it between the first and the fourth, but we'll use the D sharp diminished between the fourth and the first chord, so the other way around. But we're not gonna use the same A sharp diminished, we're gonna use the D sharp diminished. We'll get to that in a second. So if you're playing an A6 like this, it's very easy to just shift up your ring finger by one fret, also shift up your index finger by 1 fret, and put your middle finger on the major third. A major third of the A, in this case, is not going to be the major third anymore. So this gives us a diminished chord fragment, which might be a bit of a stretch, but the good thing or the beauty of the diminished chord is that all of the chord tones are only a minor third, so three frets away. So you can quickly just pick another inversion by substituting this, this is the G note on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and raising it up by 3 frets, 3 semitones, because that's gonna be another diminished chord tone. And if you take a closer look, it actually really resembles a minor chord, an A sharp minor chord, which technically it is also. So in that context, we are using it as a diminished, but if you're just playing the 3 notes, this can be either the A sharp minor or the A sharp diminished. Depends on the context. Talking about the diminished, let me just quickly refer back to my previous video where I played this D7 and play this lick. And and said that in this context it is not a D7 but it's more like a diminished chord vamp. So if you just take the three notes, it could either be the D7 or it could also be D sharp diminished. So this would be the full D sharp diminished shape. This would be D7. And basically what I'm doing, I'm just omitting this fourth string and just playing the top three strings. Now I can do that by keeping in the D string but not playing this shape. If it's a bit awkward, I can raise this up, the D sharp from the first fret on the D string to the fourth fret and play a D sharp diminished like that. So I just really quickly wanted to come back to this because I did not explain in my previous video, and I'm not sure if I ever gonna make a separate diminished video, probably not, but talking about the diminished in this video felt like a natural point to just turn back for a sec and revisit this thing. So once again, if you take any of the diminished chords or chord fragments and you raise them up and keep raising them by 3 frets and play them, it's gonna give you the most widely used and known diminished lick. Well, chord lick. Anyway, let's just get back to the swing chords, and we already talked about the E shape, so let's look at the C shape. This would be your full C shape C chord. But we're not gonna play a C, we're gonna raise it up by 2 frets to have a D, because that's the 4th chord of the A progression that we are working with. So you can play a D7 like this, but that's not really a swing voicing. The other way to play it is like this. So basically this is just 3 strings as all the other chords. I rearrange my fingers so it's more comfortable and easier to switch to this shape. So we have a root note, a D, we have an F sharp, which is the major 3rd, and we also have a C, which is the dominant 7th. So this is the D7 chord. If you want to play the minor 7, the major 3rd is the one that we have to lower by 1 fret. If we want to play the major 7, we have to put our index finger back on the major 7 and raise the minor 7 by 1 semitone. So this is going to be the D major 7. Yeah, that's about it. And I think the other chord I showed was the 6th chord, and of course this would be, because this is my minor 7. If I lower that by 1 semitone, I get the 6th. So I play a root, a 3rd, and the 6th. So yeah, we got the 6th chord down as well, and the last one I think was the diminished. So the easiest way I think to look at the diminished chord in the C shape in a swing context is to just picture this chord, the D6th, as a D7 in standard tuning, which would look like this, but I'm not playing the strings because it's not tuned to standard. So if you imagine that this is a standard D7 shape just on a different set of strings, and you mirror it back to the major shape, you'll do this. And that way you get the D sharp diminished. which will point you back towards the root note or the root chord, your A. So you can use these two diminished chords to walk back and forth between the first and the fourth chords. So that's all I wanted to show you regarding the Western swing chords in open D tuning. But if you want to learn more about this style of Freddie Green voicings or Western swing chords, you can check out Mike Dowling on Homespan. He has 2 or 3 DVDs on swing, and he utilizes many of these chords, and he teaches a lot of application and songs how you can play with these chords. And Mike Dowling also has a book called Written by the Code, which has a lot of classic tunes and standards you can play with these sort of chords, but all of them are in standard tuning, which I think you can quickly just transpose to open D based on this lesson. Or you can check out my first lesson in this series, which basically gave you an easy way, an easy formula how you can transpose basically anything between standard and open D. So check it out, check out Mike Dowling, and thank you for watching once again.